So yeah, I was in Atlanta, the biggest shoot of my life. I was going to shoot the cover of a modern luxury magazine. The night before, me and a girlfriend went out to dinner. As we were paying, we heard gunshots really close to us. I started crawling under the table and my friend was like, no, run, run, run. We started running, and as I was running, my hip dislocated and fractured, and I collapsed. And I just thought in that moment, I'm going to die. This is it.
What's
Best dad ever.
What's going on?
Not much.
Guys, I'd like to introduce you to a special guest. This is my mom.
Why are you laughing?
You're just funny.
I know.
So this is the woman who gave birth to me.
I did.
We're in her house right now filming
5
this.
5-pound, 11-ounce baby boy Gavin.
Oh, you remember.
18 inches.
What do you remember most about giving birth to me?
Being scared because you were born premature.
So you thought I was going to be like brain dead or something?
No. I was 21. I was scared. I was excited. But we didn't know. Just all the unknowns.
Okay, $1 million question. You were young when you had me. Was I an accident?
You were a happy accident. The happiest accident of our entire
Wow, you guys hear that? I am a happy accident.
He
Wow.
was, yeah.
How are you doing? It is so a little bit of context, guys. I leave for college on Wednesday, which is 5 days from now.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the last podcast that I film before I go back to college. It's with my mom. Maybe one day Brandon can have his mom on. That'd be special.
Yeah.
But yeah, how are you doing?
I would be doing better if you weren't leaving in a few days, but I'm good.
All right. So for the people that I've probably never met you before, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
It's so open-ended. I'm Gavin's mom, Gavin Anderson, first and foremost.
Okay. You're more than just my mom.
Okay.
I know I'm pretty important, but come on.
You're the most important. Mom of 4 boys, married to my high school sweetheart for 24 years.
Oh, I meant to do that. It's a cheering effect.
Wrong one. Serial entrepreneur, love building businesses, love people, love working with women specifically.
Why not men? I'm a guy, so you're working with a guy today.
It's not that I don't like working with men. I just found my niche when I started working with women.
Are you feminist?
No, absolutely not.
I'm just kidding.
The furthest from it. Nothing against feminists. I love you. Peace.
All right. All right. So continue.
Okay. I mean, I feel like that's it. That
Okay.
sums me up.
So I just thought it'd be cool to bring my mom on here because, number one, she's considered a little micro influencer potentially.
Very micro.
70,000 followers. She's a big photographer here in Tampa, which is where we're from. She's pretty big. She got me into the photography, the camera stuff, so that's pretty cool. But she's also been through a lot in life that she can speak on. She got married young, as you guys heard. She has been through a little bit of trauma within the past few years. She has a lot of knowledge and insight for people in the business field, photography field. So it's just cool to just sit down and pick her brain today and also show you guys one of the people who inspires me most in life.
Aww. You inspire me too. I'm so proud of you.
Okay, how do I inspire you?
You inspire. Look at all the people that you're reaching. You're not just stagnant in life. Like, you are living your life to the fullest. You're influencing people. You're speaking up for your truth when it's not necessarily the most popular view. And you're just such a great man of God, and I'm so proud of you.
Guys, she's already tearing up. She's already tearing up. It's the first 5 minutes.
He's my baby.
Oh, thank you, son. I appreciate that. That's encouraging to hear. But so let's dive into it.
Okay.
Why don't you give us like a little testimony? Like, how did you get involved in your faith? Have you always been into it? Did you fall away? Like, what's the story there?
Oh.
And also, how has God impacted your life?
Okay, I have ADD, so you have to ask me one question at a time.
You're just gonna have to give a little.
You're the interviewer. Come on.
I just asked you like 5 questions.
I know, that's my brain's already like mush.
All right, testimony. Give me your testimony.
Testimony. Okay. Well, do I look at the camera or at you?
You can do either.
I feel weird looking at the camera. So I was born a preacher's daughter, born and raised. You know your grandfather. He's a very godly man. And grew up in the church. I was an Air Force brat. We moved every 2 to 4 years my entire life, jumping from church to church because that's what you do in the military. And as a teenager, I was a very good-natured person, pure-hearted, and I had an older sister who was pretty wild, pretty rebellious, and I was a people pleaser, and so the last thing I wanted to be was Shireen's,
B word. No, I'm kidding.
no, Shireen's annoying little sister who always tattled and this and that. So she knew she could get me to do whatever she wanted by just saying, my friends are going to think you're so uncool. So I started doing things little by little that were not in my nature. Started drinking, started smoking. I started smoking at 16. I'm an ex-smoker.
I have a question for you about all that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think obviously in life, a lot of parents bestow to their children wisdom on what not to do. A great example is don't touch the stove, because you obviously, like, to a child, they're going to want to touch it for some reason. And you're like, don't do it. And like you telling them almost makes them want to do it more. Yeah. And so kind of like where you're coming from at that age where it's bad to do all these things and you do them anyways. And kind of even for me, as I feel like I've fallen into that, I know it's bad to do, but I've done it. Do you think it's important for people to learn by mistakes in life, or do you think it's better for them to heed the wisdom and to never touch the stove at all?
No, I mean, as much as I hate to admit this, I think you almost have to go through things to know what you truly believe, not just what your parents teach you, but how you feel about the world. And you do that by making mistakes and picking yourself up and dusting yourself off and realizing my parents were right.
So you're
ultimately.
So you're glad that you went through the experiences you went through.
I am. There's nothing that I would change because they've all made me who I am and ultimately brought me to the morals that I have. And I know why, because I've been on that side and I know that it's just a icky, scary, yucky place to be.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I just wanted to intervene there. It's good answer.
You're interviewing me. I'm here to answer your question.
All right. So you got into some things you probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
What happened next?
I got married very young when I shouldn't have. Very immature. I wouldn't say I was exactly right with God whenever I got married, but me and your father both had like very good hearts.
What were the ages?
I met him when I was 16, married him when I was 17.
You guys hear that? That is wild.
That is wild.
And you guys are still together. Like, that's so rare in today's society.
Yeah.
It's very admirable.
Yeah.
But sorry, continue.
Okay. So, but we both we had my parents in our corner praying for us, and we always had our foot like one foot in, one foot out. So we would like go to church and like I would pray every night. Like I loved God. I knew God. But I didn't take it extremely seriously because I was like wanting, even after we got married, wanting to go out and party. And so we partied a lot in college while married, which is not a great thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How is the college experience different married to someone?
I mean, I feel like it definitely kept me out of a lot of trouble because I always had your dad there to like protect me. So.
Right.
But also not good because, as an 18-year-old girl who's flirty at fraternity parties with her husband, like, still wanting attention from boys. Like, it's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
Yeah.
So post college.
Yeah.
What was going on there?
So I went to Auburn. For like 2 years and then realized I was a psychology major. I realized it's not for me. School's not for me. I wanted to go to cosmetology school and learn how to do makeup. What I didn't know is that in cosmetology school, you wrap perms for 2 years.
So no makeup to be learned?
I loathe doing hair. And here I was doing hair. I should have gone to esthetician school in hindsight.
Is that makeup?
That's like all facial stuff.
All right, so you guys hear that. If you want to do makeup, esthetician, not cosmetology.
Esthetician, exactly. So I did that, and then right after that, your father got a job, and we moved from Auburn to Columbus, Georgia, and I worked in a real estate office as a office manager, and got pregnant very unexpectedly.
Happy accident.
Happy accident.
Not a mistake. Happy accident.
Definitely not a mistake.
I heard you joke before with me that I was conceived because you guys drank too much. Is that true?
You may or may not have been conceived on my 21st birthday.
Oh, wow.
We stopped at the Kickin' Chicken because I wanted to buy alcohol.
Was
For the
that like
first
the
time,
bodega
legit.
or
Not with
something?
my fake ID. No, it's called the Kickin' Chicken.
You had a fake back then? Were they good back then?
No,
Fakes?
it was horrible. Your dad made it.
Oh, wow, that's funny. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so sounds to me that you entered the relationship not really, big into your faith. When did you start, when did you get into it, and what made that happen? What made the switch?
So the biggest switch for us was we had you guys. We went to church every Sunday. We were going through the motions, definitely like firmly Christians, loved God, rooted in Christ. But it wasn't until we moved back to Auburn and your dad was in graduate school that we met some friends who were very involved in Church of the Highlands down there. It's like it might be like the biggest church in America. It's like one of the fastest growing, or it was at one point, Church of the Highlands. And some of our friends were I think associate pastors there, campus pastors in Auburn. And we just noticed like their family works so differently. Like there was a lot of chaos because at that time you and Maddox were little, very little. You guys are so close in age. There was a lot of chaos. Like you guys kind of ran the house and we were always stressed and we didn't know left from right. And there wasn't like much rhyme or reason to our lives. And we saw that their families just functioned so differently. And I feel like meeting them was a huge turning point in our lives. They're at a very pivotal time.
So you saw their fruit and you were inspired by that and you wanted that?
Very much so,
Okay.
yes. And we were Christians before, like, don't get me wrong, but I feel like we started doing small groups with them and got into a Bible study called Growing Kids God's Way. And it was all about parenting, and it completely transformed the way we parent.
This doesn't have to. This can be like a quick answer, but
Yeah.
what was like the biggest shift in parenting that you guys did once you kind of followed more of this biblical path?
So the basis that really we realized that we were lacking was first time obedience. So like we were very much threatening repeating parents. So like you would hit your brother or whatever. I'm just using this as an example. And we'd be like, Gavin, stop it. And then you'd do it again. Gavin, stop it. You'd do it again. Gavin, stop it, or else,
Oh,
or
I
else
see.
you're going to sit in the corner for 5 minutes. And it wasn't like as first time discipline. So once we implemented that was like the main thing. And it's exhausting as a parent to like get on the first time they do something, like pull them away, look at them eye to eye. There's like a whole step to it.
Oh, really?
And
I
the
didn't know
spanking
this.
stick.
Oh yeah, we had our parents got 2 painter sticks,
Yep.
taped them together, and
Taped them
spanked
together.
us if we.
We had one in the car. We had one in every room of the house. You guys would try to hide them and break them. And
Yeah, no, I remember the spanking days. I haven't been spanked in quite some time. It feels like.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't realize that was like the turning point or whatever.
And then we got very involved in Church of the Highlands, and it was just life changing.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let me think of my next question here.
Oh.
So, when you guys were in Auburn, when we lived in Auburn, okay, wait, okay, so, oh no, the dogs. Okay, so I know that you've kind of told me a little bit about this, but didn't you have someone prophesy over you guys during some point in Auburn, or was that Virginia?
Actually, several places along our lives. We've had people, mostly friends of Grandiva and Granddads.
Those are her parents, by the way. We call her Grandiva and Granddad.
Grandiva and Granddad, yeah. Just come up and prophesy over me and your dad, like very specific things.
Like what? Could you make some examples?
That we were going to be a really strong couple for God, and we were going to be a huge example to a lot of young couples.
And wow, that's amazing because 24 years later,
Yeah.
what's been going on in your lives that's shown to be truth?
I mean, I don't really know if that prophecy has exactly come to pass. I mean, I feel like, because your dad's not really on my social media. He doesn't want to be on my social media. He's not like into that. He freezes up in front of the camera.
Yeah.
But I would like to think that like throughout the 24 years, we've inspired people by looking different, just like those people did for us when we met them in Auburn.
Right, because you had a difficult starting married 17 and 18, correct?
19.
19. So how difficult was that, and how did you overcome that, and how are you guys still together to this day? Because statistically, you should not be married to him right now, you know?
Yeah. What's the first question?
What was like the difficulties of being married so young?
The difficulties.
And would you recommend it?
I would never recommend it. I mean, I would and I wouldn't, because I feel like in a lot of ways it kept me personally out of a lot of trouble, because I didn't have to get my heart broken by a bunch of guys. Like I knew your dad was completely different than any other guy. And I'm thankful that I didn't have to go through heartbreaks before him to get to him. But, I mean, the biggest problem in our marriage was me. Because your dad had to mature a lot younger than most. I mean, yeah, mature a lot younger than most people, because he lost his father like traumatically and
Right.
tragically and suddenly when he was 16.
Yeah.
So he had to grow up really fast. And then I was just little Princess Danette, thinking I'm going to get attention from boys and have my husband too.
Can't have your cake and eat it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I had to mature a lot. That was like the beginning. But me and your father have always been so naturally compatible. Like, it's really crazy. So I feel like once we got me out of the way and, kind of fixed me, we flowed a lot better.
I've heard that when you marry someone, like everyone is like constantly changing, whether that's better or for worse. If you were to look back on yourselves from like back then to now, what has been like the biggest changes in your life, and has it been for the better? And also, bear with me, this is another question on top.
There's so many questions.
But as you guys have changed, have you found it easier to like stay together, or has any of that changed, made it like difficult for your relationship?
Well, look, a lot of things in our lives have changed. And obviously we've evolved and we've changed. But I feel like to the core, the moral, I mean, that's like who makes up who you are, is your morals and your heart. And I feel like that's always been steady with both of us, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though everything else around us is changing. Like we've lived in so many different places and had so many different kids and gone through a lot of struggles. But the constant is, to our core, we're the same people. And I feel like I say this to you all the time, like it's all about your heart. I feel like we're pure-hearted people who genuinely want the best for each other and just work really hard at supporting one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been really cool and inspiring to see their relationship. It's just an amazing example for me about what I want my future wife to be like. And
what sticks out to you about our marriage?
You just asked me this recently. It's the fact that you guys. Okay, it's the fact that I've like never heard you guys argue ever. You've communicated to me that if you guys have an issue, you handle it behind closed doors, and I'm just so blessed for that, because, I know that a lot of people in my position have trauma and scars that aren't even healed because they've heard arguments of their parents. And so, to me, it seems very healthy in that regard. And also just like how much you guys love each other. You don't hide that, You're very affectionate in front of us. You make the dates a priority, and we get to see that. It's just, you guys both just do a good modeling of how to treat one another. And, it's inspiring to see for sure.
Do you feel like, because someone said this to me one time when I said we've never like argued in front of you guys, do you feel like it's put an unrealistic expectation?
Oh no, not at all. That's how it should be.
Do you think it's not healthy that you've never seen us argue?
I mean, I've heard you guys bicker.
Yeah.
I would say even in the car the other night when my brother was driving for like the first time and they got into a little, like that's normal. What's not normal is the yelling and the negative talk and the putting down, things that unhealthy relationships mirror.
Yeah.
And so I would say that probably. And
I would attribute that to your grandparents on both sides, because I feel like we had really healthy examples and healthy families. We didn't see a lot of dysfunction. So hopefully, we don't have the generational stuff going on that
Right.
my father had to
Yeah.
combat. And yeah.
All right. So when you were younger and, you were, because obviously where you're at in life now, first of all, is it ever what you pictured?
Not at all.
What did you like? What was your dream in life back then? Like, what did you want?
When I was how old? It changed so many times throughout my life.
We'll say when you were like when you first got married.
Okay. We wanted to wait like 10 years to have kids. I wanted to be a psychologist. I wanted to counsel people. I wanted to work with like young pregnant teens. Like that, I've always had a heart for that. And my life is completely not like that. And then after we were married for a while and I switched over to cosmetology school, I wanted to be a makeup artist in LA and like live that life.
All right. So where you are now,
Yeah.
Huge inspiration. A lot of people, business owner, super successful businesswoman. This was something you never saw. So how, like what happened in your life to shape that? And is where you are now, are you happy with it? Is it what, looking back on what you used to want and what you have now, is it something you're happy with? Is it something that that you could have seen yourself wanting at some point?
It's like the best case scenario that I never would have dreamed of. That like that picture of God holding the teddy bear behind his back, like the big teddy bear,
right?
And you're like crying because you have a tiny one broken in your hand.
Yeah.
Like it's like that, like so much better than I could have ever imagined for myself.
How did that happen? How did you go from this is what I want to okay, now I'm here?
So whenever I had you so young unexpectedly, my priority shifted from wanting a career to just wanting to be a mom, just obsessed with my babies. And once we had you, we were like, this is the greatest thing ever. So then we had Maddox, like really close after, then all planned. And then we took a little break and then we had Lucas. And all that time I was a stay-at-home mom. And then, backtrack. We were very, very, very underprivileged. I don't know.
Poor.
Poor, yeah.
How poor?
Very poor.
How like what? Paint me a picture. How
Okay.
poor?
So we got married at 17 and 19. Your dad graduated college at 21. He got a job. He was lied to about his salary and his compensation. So we bought a house in Columbus, Georgia. I'm just going to give you the really quick version. We bought a house in Columbus, Georgia based on all of that when they would loan anyone any amount. And then he realized that the compensation wasn't what he thought and was grasping for straws, job interviewing all the time, trying to find something, couldn't find anything. And so his only option was really to go back to grad school. And he was offered I think it was like $17,000 a year stipend to go back to Auburn and get his PhD. So at one point we were a family of 5 living on $17,000 a year.
And you guys brought me home in a trailer park.
Yeah,
right?
we did.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you can continue.
What was I forgot.
What you wanted versus where you are now. How did we get there?
Okay, so
You're so funny.
So ADD. So because we were so poor and we had babies that we had to put diapers on and everything.
You put diapers on babies. That's right.
Yeah. We had to pay for the diapers.
Okay.
Especially when you have 2 in diapers and then 3 in diapers.
Oh, okay.
And I just needed a way to make money because your dad was like working on his dissertation and in the lab researching all the time and in school and all this. And I was with you guys and I was like, there's got to be something I can do to make money. So that's when I think I realized like I'm very, I have a really good work ethic. Like it kind of surprised me. So I was like, how can I make money? And I was like, I'm going to take photography classes and I'm going to start taking pictures.
What made you decide photography?
Remember Paul and Beth? You met them in Texas.
Yeah.
So we went to visit them, and Beth is an amazing family photographer, and she had these beautiful portraits all over their house. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to create that. That's amazing.
Wow.
That's
okay.
what inspired it.
Cool.
Yeah. So I started taking pictures. I did like everyone and their mom for 6 months and for free just to learn. And then I started slowly got the courage to charge like $35 a session. And that's kind of what started. So I did that on the side when you guys were little, or really your whole life. I guess I've done it.
Yeah.
I started whenever Maddox was probably 6 months old. So 18 years now.
Yeah.
And then for many years, I thought, I'm just going to be a stay-at-home mom first and do this on the side to just make diaper money. And then...
I like that term, diaper money.
Yeah. And then we moved to Virginia because your dad got like a job after graduating from his PhD. And that's whenever I kind of got into Beachbody. And that was like my first taste of like entrepreneurship.
What is Beachbody for people who might not understand what it is?
So Beachbody is a fitness company. I think it's called Body now.
Wait, actually, they changed it?
BODI, yeah.
Okay.
And I would just basically help women get in shape.
Isn't it kind of staged like a pyramid scheme almost? It's like...
It's not a pyramid scheme.
I'm just... For them to understand like the
it's a multi-level marketing.
Okay, it's a pyramid scheme, guys.
Yeah.
So basically from what I remember is like, you would have people under you and then those people would have people under them. Those people would have people under them. And it was a subscription-based service. So you could get like supplements and workout videos at home.
Yeah.
And so you got involved with that.
So it's kind of interesting. God's timing is always so crazy. So after I had my fourth baby, I was 30 pounds overweight and just kind of comfortable with where I was. And I just kind of got disgusted with myself. Like, I need to make a change. Like, every day was the same. And I just felt like, okay, well, this is it. I'm a middle-aged woman now. Like, this is what I'm supposed to look like. This is what I'm supposed to feel like. And I was like, just kind of got disgusted with myself. And I was like, I need a goal. I need to like do something. So it was at that point when I was like 30, maybe 30 years old, that I was like, I'm going to run for Mrs. Virginia. And so
at the time we were in Virginia, guys.
Yeah, we lived in Virginia. So I think sharing my weight loss journey and starting to build a social media and all of that kind of made the perfect storm to make my success.
And this is when you started social media?
Yeah.
And it grew originally because you were sharing results, your workout results? Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. And that inspired other people to want to work out with me. And
yeah, no, I remember when you were in the promo video for the hammer and chisel and it got like 36,000 views and you were like, oh my gosh.
Like, oh my God. Yeah.
like that was crazy. That was unheard of back then.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So you ran for Miss Virginia. What was the outcome of that?
I won. Yeah. My second year, not first year.
Yeah.
First year I got first runner up. And then decided to go back. Actually, I wasn't going to go back. And your father looked at me when we were pulling away from the hotel after the pageant with tears in his eyes. And he said, I can't remember exactly what he said. He said, basically, like, I am so proud of you. You need to go back and do this again.
And that's what made you go back?
Yeah. I wasn't going to do I was like, you would have thought I won, honestly, with first runner up because I'd never done anything like that.
That's so sweet.
And I was so proud of myself. I was like, I can't believe I made it this far. Oh, you're going to make me cry.
Well, that's just so sweet. Like,
no,
like
it's
see,
so true.
That's a perfect model of relationship.
Yeah.
Like that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So you won that. And then obviously you had Miss World or USA.
Miss America. Mrs. America.
Miss America.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
It was good. I made top 15.
Word.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is a good question. Like a lot of people in life, sometimes they'll like have this big goal and they achieve it. And then it's like, okay, what's next? So after that, what was next for you? And did you struggle finding purpose?
No, not at all. I feel like that ignited my purpose, honestly. That's whenever I just started. I've always led my life with like doing my passions or whatever. So once I did that, I was like, that was awesome. Never want to do that again. Not because I didn't love it. It was like the greatest experience of my life to that point. But I always want to keep getting better.
Right.
So after that, I just really put everything into like expanding my Beachbody business and ended up having a lot of success in that. Yeah.
So your photography, that launched while you were doing Beachbody, right? What was the story with that? What was like the turning point for the photography?
So it's so crazy how God just puts the people in your life that need to be there, and how I feel like anytime something like is easy and just works out, it's God's like perfect plan. The things that you have to like swim against the tide to get to generally are not his like
Was there any
perfect
moments
plan
where
for
you had to really just like trust him? Like, okay, I'm kind of scared to take this step, but I'm going to trust you and do it anyways.
Every step along the way, literally. Yeah. I mean, so, okay, to answer your question, to go back for a second, I had a girl, I had done a lot of I was doing family sessions. I thought I wanted to be a newborn photographer. I was doing weddings, like kind of just doing all the different kinds of photography. And I had a girl come in and say, I need these headshots for Beachbody. They have to be on a bright white backdrop. I have to have like my makeup done. And can you do that? And I was like, I've never done anything like that. I'd always been a natural light photographer and I had no idea how to work with lights and everything. But I was like, we'll play and we'll do it. So we did. She came into town. I did her makeup. We got the bright lights, the white backdrop, and we created literal magic. And Lindsay Matway, who was my ex-business partner, ended up seeing the photos. She was the #1 coach out of 400,000 in Beachbody at that time.
Wow.
And she saw the girls' photos and she was like, she had me on the phone that night and she was like, can you come to Orlando? We lived in Virginia at the time. She was like, can you come to Orlando? Can you come to Clearwater and do that for my team in 2 weeks? And that was one of the scariest things I've ever done in my, because I didn't know if what I had done was duplicatable. I didn't know if I was capable. It was literally scariest thing. So we packed you guys up. We took you to Disney in Orlando.
Yeah, I remember that.
You guys complained the whole time. I was like, never doing that again. And that was probably the biggest catapult to everything. It opened my eyes to like my true passion, which was working with women and just seeing how like when a woman, you know, because you take for like makeup just comes so naturally to me. You take I take for granted that a lot of women don't know how to do it. They're not good at it. They don't have the time to do it. They're not whatever. But when they see their face for the first time done well and have like beautiful lighting and, you know, a beautifully edited photo of themselves that literally looks like the cover of a magazine, it's like life changing for their self-esteem.
I have a comment on that. I think it's so cool how, you know, one of your big dreams when you're younger was I want to be this famous LA makeup artist. But now look at you. You're still doing the makeup for these women.
Yeah.
You know, it's like God blessed you with what you wanted, even though it's not exactly what you wanted. And it's even arguably better than what you originally had planned for yourself.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
He's
cool like that.
Yeah. He's top G.
Yeah.
So that's funny. So you take these pictures, and then, you know, what's kind of like, what happens after that for Lindsay and her team?
So I kind of became known as like the Louis Vuitton. Someone referred to me as the Louis Vuitton of photos for Beachbody and kind of like very sought after. So I used to talk about like put your head down and work hard to kind of build your reputation. I used to do these massive Beachbody retreats where I would fly, pack up my whole studio and fly. You guys were little. I don't know. You probably remember this.
I remember one.
Okay. I would do it frequently. I would pack up my whole studio and do like 15 to 30 women in one weekend and just not sleep, just like work. But that really built up my reputation and made, like, I've worked with probably thousands of women at this point just from that experience. And so there came a point where I was like tired of leaving you guys. It was really hard on the family. It was really hard on Daddy. I didn't honestly make that much money because I wasn't charging very much. And I talked to one of my mentors and he said, you know, you're working yourself to the bone doing this photography stuff. It's taking away from your Beachbody. That's where you're really making the money. Why don't you just triple your prices and make people come to you? And so that's what I did. And
you never saw
that was scary. That was, talk about another terrifying moment. That was terrifying.
Right, because you've always charged less.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not worth triple my prices, and no one's going to come to me. I'm not going to have a
Why
business
do you
anymore.
think you thought that? Why do you think you saw yourself less valuable than you actually were?
I don't know, because I don't know. I mean, I still struggle with that, honestly. I'm like, my prices are probably like way higher than I'm worth. But people see the value in it because they pay it. And sometimes I tell people my prices and they're like, oh, I thought you were a lot more than that.
That's interesting. Why do you think you see yourself like less valuable like that?
I don't know. I think maybe because we were poor for so long, like I just I don't know. I feel like once you've been that poor, you kind of just have that poor mentality to a certain extent. Like, why would someone pay me that much money?
Is it like a guilt thing? Do you feel guilty charging people that much?
Maybe a little. But I know it's worth it. And that's where your dad's really good at being like, you know, babe, they're paying it because you're worth it. Like,
Right.
you do something that no one else can do. So he's always been like my biggest cheerleader.
You should charge more.
I think I charge plenty.
Okay, so so after, you've been doing this photography stuff for a while, I know you started wanting more, right? So what was the next step for you after that?
What do you mean?
Businesswoman.
Oh, Barack, babe. Yeah. Okay. So I think the entrepreneurship from Beachbody, and I wouldn't even say it was so much from photography, because I didn't even really see that as like a moneymaker. It was more just like, I love doing this, and it's really cool to like be respected so much for something that's a hobby and a talent. But I really enjoyed making money, honestly, like, just to be blunt. And I kind of started losing my passion for Beachbody, and decided I just wanted to create something that was mine. So that's whenever I decided to start a cosmetics brand. And I knew the road to actually make cosmetics was going to be long, so we started off with eyelashes. And that's when Virago Babe was born, in 2017.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
Has it been more or less what you expected?
It's far exceeded my expectations. Far.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
So what's next? What do you have in hopes now? Like, do you want to continue growing your social media? Do you want to keep reaching out with the photography stuff? Do you want to grow Virago Babe? Like, what's next for you? What's your next passion?
I don't really have one right now. I just think that I want to ride the wave and see where God takes it. It's like, crazy as that sounds, like, that's been what's gotten me through the coolest times in my life, is just like trusting and just seeing what he has next for me.
Yeah.
It's been really exciting.
So something I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
And I can think of two defining moments, but I know you've been through hardships before. I think it's interesting as a child to see their parents go through hard times, because one, I think it kind of shows you like, how am I going to react when I'm going through hardship? But also it's like, I feel like you almost kind of see your parent as like someone that's invincible. Mm-hmm. So when you see them go through defining moments in their life like that, it can be hard. And so can you tell me a little bit about some of these really tough moments you went through as a parent and your perspective on that?
I can try.
Oh, is it too much, do you think? Are you sure?
Yeah. So when I was almost 20 weeks pregnant, we lost your little brother, Logan. That was really hard. And I just remember, like, that was one of those moments where I couldn't pick myself off the floor, and I just had to like rest in God's peace, because I had none.
Did you find it hard to trust God in that moment at all?
Not at all. No, it's just the overwhelming peace that he gave me in that storm was just insane. And like, it's so funny. Like, he gave me you guys to really get me through that. And, whenever I didn't know how I was going to be a mom to you guys, because I couldn't see my left from my right, he would just have you guys come up and just do and say the sweetest things. And it would just bring me back, You guys really got me out of that. But that was really, really hard, traumatic.
Yeah, no, I remember some of that.
How old were you? You were like 6?
I was 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You may have been 6, because I had Cash when you were 7.
Oh, maybe I was 6.
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
I probably was the only one old enough to remember then.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still think about it?
I do.
He's going to be in heaven one day. We'll get to meet him.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I love you.
I love you too. I'm messing up my makeup, kid.
How did you find God's peace in that moment? Because I think a lot of people, when they go through hardship, they want to trust in God, but they don't even know like where to begin and where to find that peace.
This is going to sound so weird, but he's always just felt so close to me. Like I always feel his peace, even in the midst of like the worst day or the craziest. Like I just always know that he's there. But in that moment, it's like one of those defining moments where like it's just I was so low that the only way that I got through that moment was I literally felt myself being held by him. And just like a calm that you just can't even explain.
Did any part of you in that moment want to like, I don't know, like search the world or search for peace in other things besides God, or no?
No, not at all.
Your instinct was to go to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, one of my favorite verses ever is Psalms 23, and it says, "Even in the shadow of the valley of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." And that's just such like, I just think such a powerful verse. You know, it's like, did you find yourself turning to his word a lot? Or how did you?
There was one verse, I remember reading the Bible one day and just saying like, God, give me a word. And I know this is dangerous to do. I've heard it's dangerous to do because it can pull up anything. But I did it this particular time and it pulled up it's Jeremiah something, maybe 3:19.
That's crazy. We're literally reading Jeremiah right now.
And there's a scripture about how we're tattooed on God's hand. And in that moment, it reminded me like, he is holding me in the palm of his hand. Like he hasn't forgotten me. He hasn't forsaken me. He's still right there. And he cares so much that he's got me tattooed on his hand.
Yeah. Is that the only hard time that you've been through in front of us?
No. No. About 3 years ago, I was involved in a shooting.
Why are you laughing at this?
Because you're asking me as if you don't know about it.
I gotta, for the people listening, it's like we're all learning together.
Yeah. So yeah, I was in Atlanta and it was like the biggest shoot of my life to date at that point. It was 3 years ago and I was going to shoot the cover of a modern luxury magazine and like a spread of 20 most beautiful Atlantans. And the night before, me and a girlfriend went out to dinner and as we were paying, we were outside eating. And as we were paying, we heard gunshots and like really close to us. And I started crawling under the table and my friend was like, no, run, run, run. So we started running. And as I was running, my hip dislocated and fractured. And I collapsed on the floor and I was laying on the sidewalk and I looked up and the two shooters like ran right by my head, like 10 feet. And I just thought in that moment, like, I'm going to die. This is it. But I didn't. I'm still here.
Praise God.
Yeah.
What was it like after that happened?
You mean when I got home?
Yeah.
Well, I missed out on the shoot. That was like really hard for me because it was a really big deal.
Yeah.
When I got home, I was in a really dark place for, I'd say, quite a while. And I was physically impaired and I felt worthless. I had PTSD from what I'd gone through. I was physically impaired because I was in so much pain. I was on crutches. I couldn't use my leg. I couldn't make you guys dinner. I couldn't even carry my own coffee. So I was pretty much bedridden for a lot of that. And just really hard.
Did you find yourself turning to God in that moment at all?
Honestly, no, because I felt numb. I just felt numb.
Why do you think what do you mean you felt numb?
The night that it happened, I went into shock. Because dislocating your hip's like one of the most painful injuries you can have. And I didn't even cry. I sat on the sidewalk for 2 hours waiting for an ambulance to come and get me. And the only way I got through that is because I just went into complete shock. Like my friend said, there was like no one there. And I felt like when you go through extreme trauma like that, I feel like it's a fight or flight thing. And that's just how I coped with getting through the day, was just being numb.
So, compared with this hardship in your life to the last one where you found so much peace with God, what was different about this time where you couldn't turn to him?
I think the actual PTSD and like trauma of this situation, of actually living through a shooting and thinking you're going to die. This is it.
Were you ever angry with God because of it?
No, never.
So he was just it wasn't a place of pride. It was more of just a place of like, you were just on
I just
your own.
mentally was like not well.
Did you turn back to him after?
Yeah, absolutely. I just had a really hard, I would say, I mean, I couldn't even, there was so much swelling in my hip that they couldn't even see what was going on or get in there for surgery for, I think, 9 weeks. So my life was basically like on hold. I couldn't even, I don't know if you remember, I couldn't even like go up the stairs to like kiss you guys goodnight, tuck you in bed.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So I just felt like a worthless human being.
You were not worthless.
I just felt like dead weight in this family.
Stop it. Yeah, I remember that. That was an interesting time.
What sticks out about it to you?
Just seeing you so defeated. I've never seen you like that before. And, I mean, it just broke me. Like, when we first got the news, we didn't even know what was going on. We just heard there was a shooting, and just like seeing you come back home after that, it was rough. But it was just seeing you in bed, like it just broke me.
Yeah.
And I think I knew at that time like you weren't really fully after God, and I think that hurt to see also, because it's like, to me, it would have just been so simple, like, oh, just read your Bible, just pray to God.
Yeah.
And like seeing you kind of turn away a little, I don't know.
Yeah. I think I was like dead on the inside, like truly just trying to cope. Like it wasn't like I blamed God. It wasn't like I was bitter or anything. Like he still felt there. I just was not there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it dragged on because I had, the surgery the night of the accident, because they had to reset my hip. And then I had one surgery and that was failed. So then I ultimately had to have the hip replacement.
Yeah.
So I had like 3 surgeries in like a 6-month span, and it was a lot. And physically working out was so important, such a big part of my life.
Right.
Couldn't do that for really like a year and a half to get back to the kind of workouts that I like really loved. So it's just been a journey.
It sounds like it has been a journey for sure.
Yeah.
Let's lighten the mood a little bit.
Please.
One biblical thing that you guys have taught us very early on is the importance of tithing. Mm-hmm. And I know that was a big part of you guys' story when you were younger. So would you want to speak on that? What made you first want to turn to the tithe, and what made you realize the importance of it? And what do you think about the tithe now?
I told you, by nature, I'm always like a very good person. And that was one of the things that my parents always taught me. And like, I always just did it. Like it wasn't an option. Like you get birthday money, you tithe on that birthday money. Like it was without exception. So whenever me and your dad got married, we had no money. We literally lived off, when he was an undergrad, we lived off of his scholarship money because he's such a smarty pants. He had like 5 scholarships.
Oh, wow.
So one paid for his school, and then the rest we like lived off of. So we got like 1,200 times 4. What is that?
48.
Okay. So that was what we lived on for the whole semester for our rent and our food.
Oh, wow.
It may have been 3. It wasn't 4,800.
Okay.
Anyways, it was literally enough for us to eat macaroni and cheese every night and pay our $250 rent for our trailer.
Oh.
Little gas money. But even then, like we never not tithed, and we always had everything we need. We never missed a meal, even if it was macaroni and cheese or Vienna sausages, like we had it.
Oh. So where was the tithe in that? And like, obviously when you have that little money, it takes a lot of trust in God to be able to trust him with your finances. And so how did he come through for you guys in that moment? Like what made you
never not like it when it didn't make sense that we still had money. We had money.
And do you think that was because of your tithe?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. And then something that we've, as we've gained more success and gotten more money, like it's just something that we just never even questioned. Like the first 10 just always goes to him. And I will say I got behind on doing it for my photography and was maybe like 3 months behind. Just honestly didn't notice I hadn't done it because it's easy to do it with daddy's things because he gets a steady paycheck, but mine's just like kind of all over the place. I realized I was like 3 months behind, and that's whenever I felt like can't keep my head above water. And so I, in faith, tithe, a decent amount. And I feel like the photography jobs just haven't stopped ever since. Like, yeah.
Do you have any questions for me? I kind of covers most of everything. Putting you on the spot.
I know. What is your impression of growing up in our home, having me and daddy as parents?
I kind of already. I feel like I already said that.
Okay. What's it like having 3 brothers, being one of 4 boys?
Oh, when we were younger, it was more like we'd always like be playing and hanging out. Yeah. Because we're like little boys, and that was fun. I remember like all the Nerf wars and the wrestling matches. And like as we've gotten older, obviously, we've matured a bit, but it's really cool having like people that you can grow up with and experience life with like forever. Mm-hmm. They're like literally with you since the day almost you were born, and like I think that's pretty cool. And just I'm excited to see like what all of us end up doing like with our passions and gifts. Yeah. And just being close for life.
My biggest fear in life is that you won't be close with your brothers when me and your dad are gone.
We will be.
You swear?
Yes.
Okay. Because you and Maddox are going to college together next week.
Yes, we are. Maddox, my younger brother Maddox, is coming to college with me.
And my biggest fear is that you guys will you're not living together, that they'll have separate lives. And
I mean, we'll definitely have separate lives, but we'll still be in each other's lives.
Yeah, we'll obviously have separate lives, but like I want you guys to be like so close. Like you guys were so close when you were little, and now you guys are a lot different. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want the same thing, Yeah.
Do you think you guys will be close in college?
Yeah, I do think we will. I think we will, for sure.
Do you have any dating advice for me, or like dating questions for me?
Dating.
Yeah. About choosing the right partner.
All right, tell me about that. What do you think? How do you choose the right partner?
This is so awkward. I'm like asking you what to ask me. You can cut this, right?
Let's just keep it rolling.
I feel like God makes a perfect person for everyone.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay, well, I'm telling you what I think. I think God has a perfect plan, just like he has a perfect plan for your life. I think he has a perfect partner for you in this life. And there's lots of different paths you can take that he will bless. But I think there is truly one perfect person. And I feel like your dad was my perfect person, is my perfect person. Yeah. Yeah. Because it hasn't like, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I just saw a fly.
ADD's kicking in.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like society glamorizes the idea of like there's someone perfect out there for me. Mm-hmm. I think there is someone that like could be compatible with you, but like we're not called to marry, I think God says it's a blessing. It's a good, when a man receives a wife, he is a good thing from the Lord. But Paul speaks on how it's better to not be married. So
you're not getting married? I'm not going to be grandma? What's the deal?
I'm not saying that. I want to be married.
I have prayed over your wife since you were in my belly. I want you to know that.
I know.
Yeah, I really have.
That's very sweet of you.
She's going to blow your mind, Gavin.
She better. Well, yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so.
I think that kind of covers everything that I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Well, if you guys could all give a big round of applause for Danette Anderson, my mi madre. I love you so much.
I love you more.
You're you're just such a big inspiration to me, genuinely.
Likewise. If you guys have any questions about baby Gavin, just drop them below and I'll answer them all.
All right, we're gonna do the outro. You ready for it?
He was a weird kid,
bro. We don't gotta talk about that. I'm Gavin.
I'm Danette.
This is the Grain of Salt Podcast, the #1 podcast that you should take with a grain of salt. Good job, you got it.
Thanks.
Until next time, guys. Wait. Until next time, guys. See you guys later. Peace.